All right, let's talk about memory. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this hidden and honestly pretty dangerous journey that every single one of your memories has to go on just to stick around.
Okay, so let's kick things off with a puzzle that I know you've experienced. How is it that you can remember, like in perfect detail, the smell of your grandma's kitchen from when you were a kid, but that one important thing from an article you read like 5 minutes ago? Poof, it's gone. What is going on inside our heads?
Well, the answer is pretty wild. It turns out your memory is not some neat and tidy filing cabinet. Not at all. It's more alive. And for any new memory to actually become permanent, it has to survive this incredibly risky journey first.
And that journey, it always kicks off in the exact same spot. This super busy, temporary space that we can think of as the mind's workbench.
So this is what scientists call your working memory. In fact, it's the mental space you're using this very second to follow along with me. But don't think of it as storage. Think of it as a space for doing. It only holds a couple of things in your attention at once, just enough for you to actually work with them.
Yeah, and just like a real workbench, if you don't clean it off, it becomes a cluttered mess, right? Well, your brain's the same. It has to be cleared out to make room for the next job. And this is where we see that forgetting isn't a flaw, it's actually a feature. The brain has this built-in process called removal, specifically to keep things tidy.
And what's really cool is how the brain does this. It's got two methods for clearing that workbench. The first is temporary removal. Think of it like putting a tool down on the side. It's quiet for now, but it's still connected to what you were doing, so you can grab it again easily. But then there's permanent removal, and that's totally different. That's like tossing the tool in the trash. The brain literally severs the connection between that piece of info and its context, which totally frees up that mental space for something new.
Okay, so if a memory is going to survive and not get tossed out with the trash, it has to get off that workbench. It has to cross this very, very fragile bridge to a more permanent place.
You know, for the longest time, we kind of thought memory was a simple two-step deal, short-term and then long-term. But it turns out that's not the whole story. The research now shows there's this crucial and super vulnerable middle stage.
And they call it intermediate-term memory, or ITM for short. And you can think of it like a memory's limbo. It's not on the active workbench anymore, but it also hasn't been safely filed away in the big library of long-term memory. It's just stuck in between.
And this is where things get really, really delicate. See, a memory in this ITM stage is chemically fragile. I mean, its very existence depends on your brain physically building new proteins. If you interrupt that process, the memory just disappears. But, and this is the important part, if you get a second dose of that same information, maybe within 24 hours, it acts like a boost. It gives that shaky memory the push it needs to make it safely across the bridge.
So how long are we talking here? How temporary is this? Well, in studies on critters like the sea snail, Limnaea, scientists have timed it. This whole intermediate stage lasts for only about 3 hours. That's it. That's the window of opportunity. After those 3 hours, the memory either gets locked in for good or it's just gone. Forever.
But okay, let's say our little memory makes it across that scary bridge. The journey's not over yet, not even close. Because to be useful, a memory has to be filed away in the right spot. And to do that, it needs to meet the brain's master librarian.
Let me walk you through it. Picture this. You're in your office, it's quiet, you're totally focused, and you learn some cool new fact. Okay, the memory forms, it makes it across the bridge, everything's going great.
Now fast forward a few hours. You're at a noisy party, music's blasting, people are everywhere, and you try to remember that fact you learned earlier, and blank, nothing. It's like it was never there.
So what happened? The memory survived the journey, right? Why can't you get to it? Well, it turns out the problem isn't the memory itself. The problem is the address the brain gave it.
And that brings us to a part of the brain called the hippocampus. This is our context librarian. Its whole job is to link a memory not just to other pieces of information, but to the specific situation where you learned it, the sights, the sounds, the feelings, even where you were.
So here's what's happening. The hippocampus creates this unique neural tag, let's call it the quiet office tag, and stables it to that new fact you learned. Then, when you're at the party, a completely different context, your brain goes looking for memories, but it's looking for party tags. It can't find the office tag, so it can't find the memory. And this system is actually brilliant, right? It's what keeps your work memories from getting all jumbled up with your party memories.
So without that context link from the hippocampus, a memory is basically like a book that's just been tossed randomly onto a shelf in a giant library. There's no card catalog, no system, nothing. The information is technically in there somewhere, but good luck ever finding it again.
Okay, so the good news in all of this is that once you understand this whole journey, from the workbench over that fragile bridge and to the librarian, you suddenly have this powerful toolkit you can use to make your own memories stronger. This science is the reason all those classic study tips actually work. Think about spaced learning, revisiting information over a few days. What are you really doing? You're sending backup to help that memory get across the ITM bridge. Or how about context? Now we know why it helps to study in a place that's like your exam room. You're basically pre-tagging the information for your brain's librarian so it's easy to find later. And of course, memory boosting. That 24-hour review we talked about, that is your golden opportunity to step in and make sure a temporary memory gets its permanent library card.
And all of this leaves us with one last, kind of mind-bending thought. We've just learned that our brains are hardwired to file memories based on a stable, physical context, a place. But think about our world now. We learn things on laptops, on our phones. The context is constantly changing with every new tab we open, every notification that pops up. So how does our ancient location-based memory system handle a world where context isn't a place anymore, but just an endless stream of pixels? And what does that mean for the future of how we remember anything at all?